So her role as Shiv Roy in the hit TV show Succession turned Sarah Snook into a global star.
This week she received a coveted Best Actress Olivier Award nomination for her performance in London's West End in a new adaptation of the Oscar Wilde story, The Picture of Dorian Gray.
The production sees her play all 26 characters, as our reporter Tim Muffet has been finding out.
If only I could remain always young, and the picture could grow old.
Sarah, so good to meet you. Firstly, at the heart of this very famous story by Oscar Wilde, there's a fundamental dilemma for the main character, isn't there?
Yeah, it's about a young man called Dorian Gray, who has a portrait painted of him when he's in his 20s. And when he sees the portrait, he's just had this kind of very Faustian, mellifluous voice utter in his ear that, wouldn't it be wonderful to stay forever young, and youth is the only thing that's really important. He makes a wish that that's what happens, that the portrait is the one to bear the burden of his passions and his sins.
For that, I would give everything. I would give my soul for that. I would give my soul for that.
And you play just the 26 characters.
Yeah, just the 26.
How daunted were you to take this on?
Yeah, pretty daunted, I would say. But I think thrilled by the challenge of it. You know, I think Oscar Wilde is very prescient and very kind of intuitive about what would happen when you don't have any checks and balances over youth and the power that comes with age and beauty, and what happens to Dorian's soul as he slides further into corruption is what the story is about.
I would give my soul for that.
As you say, age and perceptions of beauty are key strands running through the story, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I guess in the acting industry, they are things which are, you know, dealt with and considered a lot.
Oh, yeah.
How has that changed whilst you've been an actor?
There's far more body diversity in the industry now, and there's a lot more diversity across the board. But there's certainly more scrutiny in some ways because we have a very sort of image-based culture with things like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
And have there been instances in your career where someone's asked you to change the way you look and you just think, how on earth was that allowed to happen?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but I don't think that's not going to happen ever again in the industry. I think that's something that unfortunately will be within the industry because that's just the nature of how this industry works sometimes. But I think now, and I would hope now, that a young woman would have more confidence and more sort of platform to understand that they can stand up against that and say that's not actually how it's going to run.
In this play, you're interacting with screens. There's bits where you're using a smartphone and you're kind of altering the way you look. Filters are used as well. Do you use things like that as well in real life, or do you just stay away from all that?
No, I don't use any filters of my phone. Maybe to my detriment, I don't know. But I try not to indulge that side of things too often. You know, I've got hair and makeup done by somebody else right now, and that makes me look a certain way, but I'm quite happy walking around without makeup on. Do
you think more people should take this attitude? Because some people seem to be so obsessed about, you know, the way they're presented on the screen.
Yeah.
Are they missing out on something, do you think?
Oh, I think each their own. Some people really love making themselves look beautiful with makeup and can be really creative, and it's a creative expression. But I think an obsession with that to one's detriment, I think, can be dangerous. If you think that, if your mindset is I'm only worthy and acceptable with makeup on, and you know you're falling asleep after your partner to take your makeup off and then waking up before them to put their makeup on, you know, that's probably something to maybe consider thinking about.
I'll ask you a bit about Succession.
I don't think I'm the right person.
Well, you know, I'm pretty smart, and I think you are. You are, Shiv.
When you were first cast in that role of Shiv, I mean, did you ever suspect it would have the impact it did?
No, not at all.
Rome, you know Dad is never going to choose you because he thinks there's something wrong with you. And I'm sorry, but maybe it's time that we said these things to each other instead of just talking it all out to Vanity Fair.
Most of us don't live in families who are billionaire media moguls,
No.
and yet so many people could relate to things going on in it and to characters within it. How did it do that, do you think? How did it connect?
It's the family aspect. I think it's, you know, everyone's got a family of sorts, whether chosen or blood. And sometimes the blood family is not the one that you would have chosen for yourself.
How do we feel about killing Dad. Mixed feelings.
I think naturally humans love to see when someone's got, you know, everything that you could ever dream of, rich as creases, not be happy necessarily. That doesn't, you know, money doesn't necessarily increase your quality of life. The writing is so extraordinary these days in TV, and I think you can really craft a character over many episodes and create somewhat of a 10-hour film that's in series episodic. It's like, that's a gift for an actor, really.
Congratulations on your Olivier Award nomination.
Thanks.
What's your reaction to that news?
Oh, pretty stoked. Pretty, yeah, just a bit overwhelmed, I think.
Former winners include Dame Judi Dench,
I know.
Helen Mirren. I mean, what's it like to be in that kind of world of nominees?
Oh, pretty outstanding. I feel a bit, yeah, like what's happened? I've just sort of flown in from Australia and doing the show, and yeah, it's been a pretty amazing start to the year.
Your time in London, it's been good for you.
It's great, and spring's coming, you know. Nice to see the daffodils and the crocuses, and it's lovely.
We'll see what happens with those awards. The picture of Dorian Gray is at the Theatre Royal Haymarket in London until May the 11th.